The kitchen is perfect for you, Evelyn, my mother said with that saccharine smile I'd grown to hate. After all, you're used to simpler settings. I stood in the gleaming kitchen of their mansion, still holding the expensive anniversary gift I'd brought, a gift that had cost more than their monthly mortgage payment, not that they knew that. Around me, caterers bustled preparing food for my parents' 30th anniversary celebration. The main dining room is for family and distinguished guests, she continued, smoothing her designer dress. You understand, don't you, dear? Oh, I understood perfectly. At 31, I was the family disappointment, the daughter who'd walked away from the family's social circle to build her own real estate empire. Not that they knew about the empire part. To them, I was just a small-time property manager, who'd embarrassed them by refusing to marry the wealthy developer they'd picked out. Of course, mother, I replied smoothly, setting down my gift. I understand completely. She beamed, missing the edge in my voice. That's my girl. Now could you help the staff with the plates? Since you'll be here anyway. I watched her click away in her Louboutins, heading back to her precious main dining room where my sister Victoria and her surgeon husband held court with their country club friends. The same dining room where, last Christmas, they'd made me serve drinks because, you're so good at taking care of things, dear. What my family didn't know was that while they were busy maintaining their social facade, I'd built Blackwood Properties into one of the largest real estate investment firms on the East Coast. My small-time property management was actually a $2.8 billion empire with holdings in every major city, including, as of last week, their precious dream house. I pulled out my phone, checking the message from my lawyer. Purchase complete. All mortgages and liens transferred to Blackwood Properties. You now own full interest in the property. My parents had no idea they'd been struggling with their mortgage payments. Their perfect image meant everything, so they'd kept refinancing, taking out equity loans, anything to maintain the illusion of wealth. When their bank put the loans up for sale, buying them through a shell company was almost too easy. Miss Blackwood, one of my actual employees posing as a caterer, approached quietly. Everything is in place. The documents are ready whenever you want them. I nodded, watching through the kitchen door as guests arrived. My father greeted each one with that booming laugh he reserved for people he thought mattered. The same laugh that turned into a disappointed sigh whenever he looked at me. Your sister looks lovely. Mom had reappeared in the kitchen. In the main dining room. Where she belongs. I smiled, thinking of the certified letters that would arrive Monday morning. Yes, mother. Everyone's exactly where they belong. The party swirled around me as I moved through the kitchen, helping staff I actually employed serve food to people who thought I was beneath them. I caught snippets of conversation from the main dining room. Victoria's husband just made chief surgeon. Their new summer house in the Hamptons. Poor Evelyn still playing with real estate. At exactly 8 p.m. my father clinked his glass for a toast. Thank you all for coming to celebrate 30 years in this beautiful home with my beautiful family. I stepped into the doorway between the kitchen and dining room, finally pulling the envelope from my bag. Time to show them what playing with real estate really meant. Actually, Dad, I said clearly, making heads turn, I think it's time we discussed who this beautiful home really belongs to. The dining room fell silent as I walked in, still wearing the simple black dress my mother had earlier deemed too plain for the main party. I placed the envelope on the table right next to their anniversary cake. Evelyn, my father warned, this isn't the time for your disruptions. Actually, I smiled, this is exactly the time. You see, I bought you an anniversary present. Well, technically I bought your house. Victoria laughed from her place of honor at the table. Don't be ridiculous, Evelyn. Go back to the kitchen where you belong. I opened the envelope slowly, enjoying the moment. Interesting choice of words, sister dear. Let's talk about belonging. I pulled out the mortgage documents. These belong to me now. All of them. The first mortgage, the second mortgage, the 3 equity lines of credit you've been hiding. The color drained from my father's face. My mother grabbed the edge of the table, her perfect manicure white against the dark wood. That's impossible, she whispered. Is it? I laid out the papers one by one. Like it was impossible for your disappointment of a daughter to succeed? Like it was impossible for someone who plays with real estate to build a billion-dollar company. The guests began shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Victoria's surgeon husband suddenly seemed very interested in his wine glass. Blackwood Properties, My father read from the letterhead, his voice shaking. You're the CEO and founder? Yes. That small property management business you've been mocking? It owns half the commercial real estate in downtown. Those new luxury apartments Victoria brags about living in? I own that building too. My mother collapsed into her chair. But you work in the business district, in that tiny office. That tiny office? I laughed. Mother, I own the entire building. My tiny office is the penthouse suite. I just never invited you up because you never bothered to ask what I actually do. The room erupted in whispers. I could see the social calculations happening behind every guest's eyes as they reassessed my worth in their carefully ranked world. The mortgage payments. My father started. Are 3 months behind, I finished. Did you think nobody would notice the refinancing? The credit lines? All those loans to keep up appearances. Victoria stood up, her perfect smile cracking. This is just another of your attention-seeking stunts. I pulled out my phone, projecting my company's portfolio onto the dining room wall using the hidden system I'd had installed last week. Properties, holdings, assets, billions of dollars of real estate empire displayed above their anniversary decorations. Still think I belong in the kitchen, Victoria? Why? My mother's voice was barely a whisper. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you. I turned to her. Like you told me about the financial troubles? Like you told your friends the truth about where your money comes from? We're all about keeping up appearances, aren't we, Mother? The caterers, my actual employees, began serving champagne. Not the cheap sparkling wine my parents had bought, but the exclusive vintage I'd had brought in. You can't just take our house, my father blustered, but his voice lacked conviction. Actually, I can. And I did. But don't worry. I smiled, raising my glass. I'm not going to throw you out. That would be beneath me. Instead, I'm going to do what you never did for me. I'm going to give you a chance to earn your place. Starting tomorrow, I continued, taking a seat at the head of their precious dining table, you'll learn what it's like to earn your place instead of inheriting it. You want to stay in this house? You'll need to sign a proper lease. With proper terms. My father's face reddened. Now see here, Dash. No, Dad, you see here. I spread more documents across the table. Your country club membership? The one you used to get Victoria's husband in? That property belongs to my company now too. Bought it last month when they were looking for investors. The surgeon nearly choked on his wine. Your summer house in the Hamptons? I turned to Victoria. Check the deed. You've been renting it from one of my shell companies for the past year. Funny how nobody bothers to look beyond the surface, isn't it? My mother dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed napkin. All this time, you were building an empire? Yes. While you were seating me in kitchens and treating me like a servant, I was buying up every property you desperately used to prove your social worth. The guests began to quietly excuse themselves, sensing that this anniversary party had turned into something else entirely. Something that would be whispered about in country club lounges for years to come. The lease terms are simple, I continued, sliding papers toward my parents. You can stay in this house, but there will be changes. No more pretending you're wealthier than you are. No more looking down on people who work for their success. And most importantly, I stood up, smoothing my plain dress, no more treating family like servants. Victoria grabbed the papers, her hands shaking. This is blackmail. No, sister dear. This is business. Something you'd understand if you'd ever built anything yourself instead of just marrying into it. I turned to her husband. By the way, that chief surgeon position you're so proud of? The hospital board meets next week to approve it. Guess who owns controlling interest in the hospital? The room fell silent except for my mother's quiet sobs. Here's what's going to happen, I said, taking a sip of the expensive champagne. Tomorrow you'll all come to my actual office, the penthouse you've never seen. We'll discuss proper business terms like actual adults. No more pretense, no more lies, no more seating charts based on social status. My father slumped in his chair, looking suddenly old. When did you become this? I've always been this, Dad. You just never bothered to look past your own disappointment to see it. I gathered my things, preparing to leave. Oh, and Mother, next time you have a party, remember, the kitchen is just a room. It's not where anyone belongs. As I walked toward the door, Victoria called out, You can't just leave. This was supposed to be their anniversary party. I turned back one last time. Actually, I can. But don't worry, I've arranged for a better celebration. Check your phones. On cue, their phones buzzed with notifications. I just donated $10 million to the local children's hospital in their name. There's your legacy, I smiled. Real philanthropy, not just social climbing. Consider it my anniversary gift. That and the lesson in humility. The next morning, as they filed into my penthouse office with its sweeping city views, I watched their faces as they finally saw who I'd become. My mother's careful makeup couldn't hide her sleepless night. My father's hands shook as he signed the new lease. Victoria kept glancing around at the empire she'd never noticed her little sister building. "Welcome to my kitchen," I said, gesturing to my private chef who was preparing breakfast. "Shall we discuss your future? Sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving people wrong. It's becoming so successful that they have to live in your world, playing by your rules." They'd seated me in the kitchen thinking it was where I belonged. Now they were sitting in my boardroom, finally understanding that I'd belonged at the head of the table all along. And this time I was the one deciding the seating arrangements.